Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good day. My name is Muhammad Umar Zaidi bin Muhammad Rashid. My metric card number 2019530207 and I currently being my supervisor name is TS Muhammad Fauzi bin Uthman and my co-supervisor is IR Haji Razali Hassan. And without further ado, let's start the presentation for my final year project, which about the portable motor operated hacksaw. The list of the content that what I am going to explain regarding to technical report throughout this presentation, right from introduction of the project until the conclusion. For the introduction, I'm going to explain for the topic which is about my project. First of all, what is the hacksaw? Hacksaw is the fine tooth saw that mostly used for cutting. This can be used to cut a variety of material including plastic, metal and wood. There are two types of hacksaw, namely first is power version hacksaw and the second one is hand version hacksaw. Hand version hacksaw is the energy used by a human to cut the workpiece. This hacksaw is good tool to use, but it becomes inconvenient when a large amount of cutting is required more energy. So the power version of hacksaw is come out that use power by electricity to cut the workpiece. This tool is improve the process of accuracy of cutting and can focus reducing idle time per unit. So for the next presentation is about problem statement of the project. I categorize my problem statement into three parts, which is the first part is machinery, the second part is manpower, and the cost. First, we looking on the machinery. Mostly, the machine on the market are lack about of the lubricant system on the machine. This will give impact of the blade lifespan. Lastly, for the machinery is the size of the machine are too big and heavy. This machine is not suitable for domestic user because of their space and carry or change place. For the second categorized is manpower. So for the first problem statement is the machine is incapable of providing variable cutting speed and variety cutting angle. This apply the machine operate manually. The machine cause manual labor fatigue. The last categorized part is cost. Mostly, the conventional power hacksaw price are too expensive and this make the domestic user less able to obtain in the machine. For the next slide, I'm going through is about the main objective of my project development. First is to design a motor operated hacksaw that possesses portability and easy to use. For the second one is to study and analyze on the suitable power operated hacksaw to be designed as a portable hacksaw and a cutting performance. For the third, to provide the hacksaw that has variable cutting speed and a range of cutting angle. And lastly is to make a product is more convenient and low cost. Next, it is about my project scope and the limitation of the project. First, we looking on the scope of the project. The purpose of this project is to design the machine that need to be minimal power consumption, ability to cut price list and accuracy, and portability. For the limitation in this project is cause of pandemic COVID-19. Due to pandemic COVID-19, many store and workshop to buy the material and also to fabricate part for the project are closed. Next is cost of the PC of the design and simulation. At this stage, the limitation of PC for design and simulation is not quite good for rendering and it takes a longer time to finish. Third is the unfamiliar application use. The familiar application use is learned on the internet only. And lastly, it's quite difficult to discuss the project with the supervisor using a phone. So, this is the process of methodology that I use for my project. For the first one is construct project flowchart. Next is define task, market analysis, clarifying objective, idea selection, concept of development, material selection, and lastly is finally prototype of the Hacksaw. Next, this is the example of my project flowchart. As we can see, there are 3 phases that have this flowchart. For the first one is a pre-design phase. In this phase, it is important to know the objective and study the fundamental related to this project. The second phase is the analysis phase. This phase is more to analyze the project to obtain the best result. For example, like making some research and studying about the project to get knowledge to development the product, choosing the best design that give the best performance. The final phase is the pod design phase. The pod design phase is to generate, apply the concept, objective and fundamental study to fabricate this project. If the result of this project is not satisfying, we must go to the second phase and analyze the modification of the project. For the next slide, it is about a morphological chart. In morphological chart, it consists of the function analysis. Each function is listed with 3 different choice of mechanism. For the first part is the frame. There are 3 type frame that I sketch for each design. For the first and the second design is like the same condition, but the material that used is different. And for the third, the frame is like more space used and the material mostly used in metal. Next is transmitter. This will follow the concept of scotch yoke mechanism principle. For the first design is more simple, use small space. For the second is also good but less space, and the third is also good but use belting. Next is the blade holder. As we can see, for each design, design 1 is more suitable and stable to you when cutting the workpiece compared to other design. And lastly, the source of the use for design 1, it is can use battery or electric, but the other design is use only electricity. Next, this will show about some design concept and evaluation that I generate for my project. Each design has its own advantage and disadvantage according to a few criteria. All 3 concept design evaluation is basically through analysis made on the conceptual design to know which design is the best. For the design 1, the design is less safety feature on it and it less stability, but it is portable, and also the design is simple. After that, it only use electricity power. Lastly, the body part have made from plastic and metal. For the second design, the design is less safety feature cause of large dimension, and it also heavy and not portable. The design is complex. The power source is use electricity, and most of the body part is made from metal. And lastly, for the third design for this design have safety feature. This will help the user avoid from any danger to use. The product is high strength and high stability. Next is portable, and the design, as we can see, is simple. Besides that, it can use electricity or battery. And lastly, most of the body part made from plastic that use PLA 3D print. After we have the design conceptual and evaluate, we can go through to the process of proof chart. Early in the design process, a proof chart is a simple design tool for comparing the design concept to your design objective. Each criteria, like on the left column, this figure is given a weighting based on its importance. In this section, every criteria has been given with value, which is the important criteria is value as 3, and the less important will be weighted as 1. Then rate how well each design meet each design criteria relative to the datum as a benchmark. As you can see, use a scale like negative, 0 to positive. Next, every design will be given marks following the criteria of the design. All the marks will be conclude an assessment. At the end, which is the highest mark, will be the final design that will be selected. As we can see, the highest of the net score is the design one, because it is meet all requirement needed. So this is my final design. As we can see, from the first one is isometric review, second one is top view, and lastly is side view. For the material that I choose on this product, first is polylactic acid. It's called PLA, that used on 3D print to print the part. This material is cheapest and lightweight. The second one is a mild steel rod that used to make a blade while cutting more stable. The third is a plywood. It's used as the base of the product because it is lighter and more cheaper. And lastly is stainless steel that used to make a clamp, that tool used to temporarily hold a small workpiece when cutting, and so on. Next, it is the software that I use in this project. First is the design and simulation of the product is used SolidWorks software. This is because it's more easy to use and get more information about analysis, such as the von Mises stress analysis, the deformation analysis, and the displacement. The second I use is Ultimakura software to print 3D print product by using PLA 3D material. This software is free apps and easy to use for tune the 3D model setting to make the product 3D print in good quality. Lastly, Blender is used to make a motion analysis that show the movement of the product. Next, it is about the result. There are 4 types that I come out by doing analysis on the frame, motor shaft, and shaft. First is, as we can see, is about the von Mises stress analysis. Second is about the deformation stress analysis. And the third is the displacement. And lastly is the motion analysis. Let's take a look at movement of the product. So, as a conclusion of the presentation, the prototype of the portable motor operated hacksaw has been developed as required according to the main goal of producing the automated hacksaw with portable use, eco-friendly, and a lubricant system. The project also has reached 3M objective of the problem statement, which is manpower, money-wise, and machinery. I give some example of money-wise. This product really reasonable. For the manpower, it reduce workload. And lastly, for the machinery, this product is made more convenient to use for any user and add a new feature. Besides that, by using different type of material used, have their own advantage and disadvantage to the product. From FEA, finite element analysis can reduce time, cost, and shorten time process of this product research. Lastly, for the recommendation, the design and selection part material also needed to be considered and redesigned again to make improve more quality of product, because The current material used is PLA 3D print filament, which is only suitable for the light application. However, heavy duty use need to change the material to prevent deformation of the product. Lastly, the selection of the motor is important too, because the higher the torsion and the speed provided by the motor, the better performance of cutting operation. So that's all for my presentation, and thank you.